What up guys, how you guys doing? Today I'll be talking about which gods can Leonidas defeat. We all know that he got defeated in, season 3 of Ragnarok by Apollo. But I'm wondering what gods could he actually defeat that we've seen in the anime so far. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, like, share, subscribe if you guys are new. If you guys like these reactions, if you guys like these videos that I do for Ragnarok, you always see a lot of our thoughts. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's just get into the video. Okay, now so let's start with Thor. Thor was the first god that was started in the Ragnarok tournament. So let's start with him first. Thor against Limu, right? That fight was so one-sided that it wasn't really funny, but that fight was Limu put up a good fight. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like Thor dominated all the way through. He kind of did, but with that out of the way, Limu put up a good fight against Thor in that battle. I would think that Leonidas would have put up a better fight than Limu did in that battle. And I think that Thor would have walked out there with more scars if Thor went up against Leonidas. Would I say Leonidas would beat Thor? I would have to say no. And here's why. Thor has that strength, speed, stamina, endurance, but he's a god at the end of the day. I know that the Valkyrie powers, right? It boosts Libu's stats. I know that Leonidas can take a strike from Thor. I know that much. I'll give that much credit to Leonidas because we saw Libu take a strike from Thor, and I do believe that Leonidas is much more stronger and probably, I wouldn't say faster, but he's much more stronger and durable, and he can endure more than Libu could. So I would say that Leonidas would put up a better fight. If you're gonna ask me if he could beat Thor, no. Okay, so next up is going to be Zeus. He was the second one to fight in this tournament in the Ragnarok anime. And we saw what happened in that fight between him and Adam. He literally came out millimeter length dub out of that fight. It was a millimeter length. Or if he would have lasted 15 seconds longer, I think Adam would have won it. But Zeus took the win. Would Leonidas beat Zeus in Ragnarok? And we all know the answer to that. That's no. He ain't beating Zeus. Here's the I can't really justify it. I really cannot think of a way Leonidas is coming out of this alive. I can't even cap. Leonidas is in my top 5. You guys know that, but I can't think of a solution for Leonidas hanging in for more than 10 seconds in this fight, other than plot armor. He did parry Apollo's light speed attack. Can he do the same for Zeus? Hell no. You saw the amount of zeros that was on the screen. 0.0000001 second. I tried. So yeah, that's a hell no for Zeus. And number 3 on this list is Poseidon. He's the third person to fight in this tournament. He fought against Sasaki in season 1, and we all know how that turned out. He took it out.
2-pack of ass.
But I wasn't really surprised.
What a joker.
I don't know about you guys, but yeah, he took a big foul. So yeah, doesn't matter if he was taking it seriously or not, he took the L at the end of the day. So yeah, Poseidon, or if I should say Poseidon, can Leonidas beat Poseidon in a one-on-one fight in Ragnarok? Strength, speed, Poseidon. Agility, Poseidon. Intelligence, Poseidon. Battle IQ, I would say Poseidon. He's lived throughout thousands of years. Knowledge, Poseidon. Fighting skills, I'll say equal. I'll say equal now. I really can't see how he's going to win against Poseidon, other than the fact he pulled off some plot armor hacks that he pulled off with Apollo when he deflected that strike. I don't really see him beating Poseidon. The reason why I see Sasaki beats Poseidon is because he has that chase ability where he can predict his opponent's movement before they even make a move, basically. you can call it seeing, the future, or, like a gamble, kind of ability that he can predict, the right moves just by gambling, like luck or something, I don't know. The reason why Sasaki beat Poseidon is because he is a master swordsman, right? He has that speed, he has that intellect that Leonidas lacks. He has battle IQ, but he has that intellect that he lacks to, beat Poseidon in this, game. Do I think that Leonidas will beat him? The answer to that is no. So yeah, that's literally 3 no's right now for Leonidas. Okay, so next up is going to be an interesting matchup, and that's against Hercules. Can Leonidas beat Hercules in a 1-on-1 fight in the tournament? I do believe Leonidas has a chance to beat Hercules. Hercules is, don't get me wrong, Hercules isn't weak. I'm not trying to say that Hercules is, weak. I would say that he's the weakest god that we've seen so far. That's what I'll say. It's either him or Zero Fufu. It's either those two. But would I say that Hercules would lose in a fight against Leonidas? Yes, I would. I would say that Hercules does, I would say that Hercules does have some sort of, similar stats, right, than Leonidas has. And I do believe that Leonidas can beat Hercules in a 1-on-1 fight. They're both, brute fighters, but I will give the edge to Hercules to physical stats and, battle IQ, based of experience and, knowledge that he's gained throughout the years of, living. But I will say this, he did lose to Jack the Ripper, so that experience, that knowledge, that intellect, that doesn't really come in place, right, in these battles that often, if you guys kind of, realize, because these gods have all this experience and all this knowledge, and they don't really use it in the fights that much. Like, you don't really see their intellect for battle, right, in these fights that much. It's all about, these Dragon Ball Z fights, just fighting and all that. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but we don't really see the insight, voice of these characters on how they approach the situation, or how we always hear it from, Ares or Hermes and all that kind of stuff, but we don't really hear it from the gods or from the gods themselves. So I wouldn't really put that in place right now, but I would say this, to be honest with you, it's literally a 50-50. But if you're gonna ask me who I think is gonna win, I will have to say Hercules, because like I said, Leonidas lacks that intellect. He's one of the best, fighters that has that intellect when it comes to, battle. But like I said, that doesn't really come in place in these battles that much. So I would say that Hercules would win. I would say that because it will be like a physical battle between, those two, and Hercules would dominate. Okay, so next up is Shiva. Do I think Hercules can beat Shiva in a 1-on-1 fight? I'm not going to count the Shiva, Tanava Karma transformation yet, but let me talk about his base form. Shiva was, I'm not going to lie to you guys, Shiva's my boy, but listen, it wasn't really stated. If I really don't get any, any sense that Shiva was holding back in that, Raiden fight. I really do not get any sense, even when he was in his Tanava Karma, transformation. Well, let me talk about his base form first. His base form, right, when he was fighting Raiden, he was actually pretty equal, to Raiden, a sumo wrestler. He was equal to him. So I think that Leonidas being, I'll say, a better strategic fighter than Raiden. I would say that Leonidas being a better experienced fighter than Raiden, I would say he would get an edge over Shiva in the first bit of the fight. But then when Shiva realized how good Leonidas is, when he starts to respect him, I think that's when he starts to perform that dance, right? You guys know what dance I'm talking about. This dance is literally when he goes into this battle state, right? That I think, forgot what the dance is called, but in this battle state, I do believe that Leonidas can't touch Shiva, just like how Apollo was dominating Leonidas when it comes to speed in that fight. I do believe that Shiva would dominate when he starts to do that dance, right? You guys know what dance I'm talking about. And once he starts to do that dance, I think Leonidas will start to pick up with his movements. That battle IQ would start to kick in, just like how Zeus said it to Hermes and Ares in that episode on how he blocked, Apollo's strike. Just because of that logic, that anime logic, he will start to pick up on Shiva's movements, and that's when he starts to make it on equal leveling ground with him and Shiva. Then when Shiva starts to get more into trouble, he'll whip out that Tandava Karma transformation, and that's when the magic will end, if I'm going to be honest with you, with one strike. I do think that he will do a better job than Raiden will. I do believe that, but because of that shield to protect him. But other than that, with one strike, Shiva has the power to destroy the planet. I don't see Leonidas coming out on top, even with the Valkyrie powers. So yeah, no, I don't see Leonidas beat Shiva in that fight. Next up is 044, right? We all saw what happened in that fight between him and Buddha. Buddha came out on top. Not only did Buddha came out on top, but he dominated in that fight against 044. Not to mention Hajun, right? Hajun, I'm not gonna get to him yet. 044 and Buddha was playing right with 044 in that fight between those two. So I don't see how Leonidas is gonna have any trouble with him. We saw in the fight between Thor and Libu, when Libu blocked Thor's hammer with his spear. I don't see how, Leonidas can't, block 044's big axe with his shield. I do think that Leonidas is beating 044 in a 1-1 fight, but Hajun is a whole nother matter. Hajun wiped out half of Helheim with one swoop.
He once single-handedly destroyed half of Helheim in one fell swoop.
He is powerful. He's crazy strong. Leonidas is strong as well, but Hajun is on another level. Even Buddha had trouble with him, right? So I don't see Leonidas coming out on top against Hajun, but I do see him being 044 in a 1-1 fight. So yeah, if you're gonna ask me, can Leonidas beat 044? Yes, he can. He can beat him in a 1-1 fight. If you're gonna ask me, can he beat Hajun? No. So yeah, that's my answer to that. Overall, I would say no, because I would say that 044 would transform into Hajun during the fight, and Hajun is probably gonna one-shot him with with that move that he used on Buddha. But I don't see Leonidas coming out on top against Hajun. I would say yes for 044, but no for Hajun. Okay, so next up is Hades. Hades, we all saw what happened in that fight between him and Shin. Right, Shin came out on top, Hades lost. Right, I know it's controversial, but at the end of the day, Shin took the dub. It was explained very well during the anime. I can see why people would have a problem with it. I'm not sure about the manga because I don't read the manga, but yeah, that's a whole nother problem. But we saw what happened in the fight. Shin came out on top. Can Leonidas beat Hades in a 1-on-1 fight? And the answer to that is stay tuned. That's the answer to that. Here's the thing, in that fight against Apollo, when Leonidas was going up against Apollo, and Apollo was getting criticism from the crowd saying, oh, fight properly, or you need to have like a fair one with Leonidas, basically from both sides, from the gods and the humans. That won't work on Hades. Hades has respect from all of the gods, that's first of all, and if it did happen from the humans, Hades wouldn't fall for it, because he's getting revenge. He's not there to fight, right? He's there to take vengeance for his brother, Poseidon's death. But I don't see that happening with Hades. He's not falling for that trick. He is putting one straight jab through that shield into Leonidas' chest. I feel like he is not playing around. Hades was going for the kill in that Shin fight. He was not holding back. They were all going. I think that every single fighters in this tournament went all in, but Hades is not playing around. He is going for that kill. for that opportunity. Apollo, he was literally like a gladiator trying to impress the crowd and all that kind of stuff. He's living up to everyone's expectations, like Zeus says. But here's the thing with Hades, he's not here for anyone's expectations. He's here for vengeance. He is putting one through Leonidas' chest probably 10 minutes into the fight. I really don't see Leonidas surviving that long against Hades. But if you could ask me, can Leonidas beat Hades? No. And that's the thing. Hades is not playing around. He wants vengeance for his brother. Bro, I don't see any other outcome for this. And he's also one of the 4 chief gods. I really don't see how Leonidas is coming out on top against Hades, especially with that dominating speed. Listen, if he if he struggled against Apollo trying to catch up with him, I know that he has that experience hacks that Zeus was talking about, but still I don't see him surviving those spare attacks from Hades. He probably dodged a few, he probably countered a few, but yeah, Hades is coming out on top in this fight. Okay, so next up is going to be Beelzebub. Beelzebub is probably going to be the worst matchup for Leonidas on this list, and let me tell you why. I don't see Leonidas buying past Beelzebub's defense. We saw what happened with him and Tesla, right, when he took the dub over Tesla in that fight in season 3. We saw what lengths Tesla had to go through in order to catch Beelzebub off guard with his pincer unavoidable attack, right, when he had no choice but to sacrifice his right arm, I believe it was, so he can catch Beelzebub off guard, and that still didn't even work. With Beelzebub's reflexes, he managed to outmaneuver him, dodge it, and pierce his heart. Bro, I don't see how Leonidas is breaking through Beelzebub's defense. He does have the intellect to go up against Beelzebub, nor does he has the physical attributes to go up against Beelzebub as well. And I don't see him piercing through his defense. Even Odin couldn't break through that defense when Odin was going to attack Buddha. Even he couldn't break through that defensive barrier that Beelzebub put on. But I really don't see how Leonidas is going to win this fight. This is probably the worst matchup for him. Probably the second worst matchup after Zeus. So I don't see Leonidas winning this fight against Beelzebub. I don't think he can touch him. I'm going to be dead honest. I don't think he can touch Beelzebub. So yeah, I see Beelzebub coming out on top against, Leonidas in this fight. Okay, so now let's summon it all up now. Let's summon every scenario that I put Leonidas in, every single fight I mentioned in this video. Let's see what outcome Leonidas will come out of in this summary video. I tried so hard to figure out any scenario that Leonidas can come out of victorious, but let's just summon it all up, right? Can he beat Thor? No. Can he beat Zeus? Hell no. Can he beat Poseidon? No. Can he beat Hercules? Maybe. 50-50 chance, right? Can he beat Shiva? No. Can he beat Zeus? No. If he transforms into Hajun. But if we're talking about Zeus himself, yes. Can he beat Hades? No. Can he beat Beelzebub? Hell no. So that is a scenario. That is every single scenario that I put Leonidas in. And out of all of them, I see one. Like Doctor Strange said to Iron Man, I see one victory outcome for Leonidas, and it's not really a victory if you can't, if you kind of think about it. Because if he transforms into Hajun, that's it, and he probably can beat Hercules, but I still give the edge over to Hercules because of his physical stats. So yeah, that's the outcome in this video. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, like, share, subscribe if you guys are new. If you guys like these reactions to them, if you guys like these videos that I'm doing for Record or Ragnarok, you obviously get Marvel, so yeah, go and check them out. With that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and peace. Until next time.
George.